The engine of our old Jeep hummed steadily as we crossed into the vast expanse of Yellowstone National Park, the kind of place where the world felt bigger than your problems. But my heart was racing for reasons that had nothing to do with the geysers or wildlife. Alex, my best friend since high school, the straight guy who'd always been my unspoken crush, had just suggested we share a tent because he didn't want to sleep alone on this trip. I froze behind the wheel, wondering if this was the moment everything I'd buried deep inside would finally erupt like Old Faithful itself. We'd planned this road trip for months, ever since Alex's messy breakup with his girlfriend of 3 years, Sarah. He needed to clear his head, he said, and who better to drag along than me, Jamie, the reliable sidekick who'd always been there through his highs and lows. Growing up in suburban Chicago, we'd bonded over video games and late-night talks about dreams. His of becoming a pro photographer, mine of escaping the corporate grind as a graphic designer. But beneath it all, I'd harbored feelings for him that I never dared voice, especially not in our conservative Midwest circles where being gay still meant whispers and sideways glances. As we drove deeper into Wyoming, the landscape shifted from flat prairies to towering pines, mirroring the shift in my own emotions. Alex fiddled with the radio, landing on some indie folk station that crooned about lost loves. "Man, this trip is exactly what I needed," he said, stretching his legs on the dashboard. His easy smile made my chest tighten. I'd come out to him 2 years ago, during a drunken college party, and he'd been cool about it, slapping my back and saying, "Doesn't change a thing, bro." But did it? Lately, his texts had been more frequent, his hugs lingering a second too long. Or was I just projecting? We stopped at a roadside diner in Cody, the kind with checkered tablecloths and waitresses who called you Han. Over burgers and fries, Alex opened up about Sarah. She said I was too distant, like I was holding back something big. He poked at his food, avoiding my eyes. I nodded, murmuring sympathies, but inside, a storm brewed. What if that something big was the same confusion I'd sensed in him? Society expected guys like Alex, tall, athletic with that all-American charm, to follow the script, date girls, get married, have kids. Any deviation sparked controversy, especially in families like his, where his dad still made offhand jokes about those people at Thanksgiving. That night, we pitched our tent near a quiet lake, the stars exploding overhead like fireworks. Alex unzipped his sleeping bag and glanced at me. "Hey, Jamie, mind if we zip these together? It's colder than I thought and, I don't know, sleeping alone out here freaks me out a bit." My pulse thundered. Was this innocent or something more? I agreed, trying to play it cool. But as we lay there, shoulders brushing, the air thickened with unspoken words. He talked about feeling lost post-breakup, how relationships with women never quite clicked. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm wired wrong," he whispered. I wanted to tell him he wasn't wrong, that maybe we could explore this together, but fear clamped my mouth shut. What if I ruined our friendship? The next morning, we hiked to a viewpoint overlooking the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Alex snapped photos, his camera clicking away, capturing the raw beauty. "This place makes you think about what's real, you know?" he said, turning to me with an intensity that made my knees weak. I nodded, but inside, conflict raged, coming from a family that barely acknowledged my sexuality. My mom pretended it was a phase, my dad avoided the topic. Pushing Alex could mean losing the one person who truly saw me. Yet, ignoring it felt like betrayal to myself. As we drove on toward Montana, the road became a metaphor for our journey. Winding, unpredictable. Alex shared stories from his childhood, hinting at moments of doubt about his attractions. "Remember that time in gym class when I stared too long at the guys' team? Thought it was nothing." My heart ached. Society's rigid norms had boxed him in, creating internal turmoil that mirrored my own coming-out struggles. But controversy loomed. If word got back to our friends, the whispers would start. "Alex? No way, he's straight." Labels like that fueled division, pitting us against them in a world quick to judge. By evening, we reached Glacier National Park, setting up camp amid glaciers that seemed eternal yet fragile. Around the campfire, Alex's vulnerability peaked. "Jamie, being here with you feels right. More than with Sarah. His words hung like smoke, igniting hope and dread. I confessed my feelings, voice trembling. He didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned in, our foreheads touching in a moment of raw connection. But as stars wheeled above, doubt crept in. Was this real, or just the isolation playing tricks? The trip pressed on, each mile amplifying the tension. In a small-town diner, we overheard locals debating LGBTQ rights, one man snarling about traditional values. Alex's face paled. It hit too close. Back on the road, he questioned everything. What if this is a mistake? My family would disown me. I argued for authenticity, but the societal pressure weighed heavy, creating rifts in our budding bond. Winding through the rugged trails of Glacier, we hiked to Hidden Lake, the turquoise water reflecting our fractured reflections. Alex walked ahead, his backpack slung low, but his usual banter was absent. Last night's confession lingered like morning mist. I'd told him I'd loved him quietly for years, and he'd admitted to confusing feelings, but now daylight brought reality crashing in. Jamie, what if this ruins us? He asked, stopping abruptly. I wanted to say it wouldn't, that love like this was worth the risk, but the words stuck, choked by the fear of societal backlash. We descended the trail in silence, the crunch of gravel the only sound. Back at the Jeep, Alex suggested we detour to a nearby town for supplies. Whitefish, Montana, with its quaint shops and craft breweries, felt like a brief escape. Over craft beers at a local pub, the conversation turned heavy. My dad always said real men don't question this stuff, Alex confided, his eyes distant. I shared my own battles, coming out in college, losing friends who couldn't handle it, the constant microaggressions at work. It's not just personal. It's fighting a system that says we're wrong, I said. He nodded, but tension etched his face, hinting at the internal war between desire and expectation. That afternoon, we explored the town, wandering into a bookstore where pride flags hung subtly in the window. Alex picked up a memoir about a man's late-in-life coming out, flipping through pages with furrowed brows. This guy lost everything: job, family. Is that what awaits? His voice cracked, exposing the vulnerability beneath his confident exterior. I reassured him, but doubt seeded controversy. Was I pushing him into something he wasn't ready for? Or was society the true villain, forcing conformity? As dusk fell, we drove to our next campsite near Lake McDonald. Setting up, Alex's hands shook slightly. Let's talk about this, he said, sitting on a log. What followed was a raw exchange. Him admitting stolen glances at guys in college, me confessing how his friendship had been my anchor yet my torment. Emotions surged. Joy at potential, anger at the world's intolerance. But a phone call interrupted, his mom, checking in. He lied smoothly about hanging with Jamie, omitting the truth, and hung up with a sigh. They'd never understand. The night deepened, and we shared the tent again, this time with deliberate closeness. No kisses, just hands intertwined, a silent promise amid the wilderness sounds. Yet, sleep evaded me. Thoughts of returning home loomed. In Chicago, our circles overlapped: mutual friends, family events. Revealing this could spark outrage, accusations of turning him gay, fueling the age-old debate on nature versus nurture. Morning brought rain, mirroring our moods. We packed up and headed south toward Idaho, the wipers slicing through sheets of water. Alex turned introspective. Remember our high school prom? I went with Sarah, but I wished it was different. His admission floored me, rewriting memories. But controversy brewed. If we pursued this, it challenged norms, inviting judgment from peers who'd label us deviants. Stopping at a hot spring in Boise National Forest, we soaked in the steaming pools, steam rising like unspoken fears. I feel free here, Alex said, eyes meeting mine with newfound clarity. I nodded, but warned of the costs: potential job discrimination, family estrangement. He countered with hope. Maybe we're the change. Our debate highlighted societal divides, where love between men still provoked heated arguments in politics and pulpits. Driving into Utah, the landscape turned arid, red rocks stark against blue skies. We camped in Arches National Park, the natural arches symbolizing fragile beauty. Around the fire, Alex's resolve hardened. I want to try this, Jamie. With you. My heart soared, but caution tempered it. What if regret followed? The night's discussion delved into ethics. Was it fair to explore at the risk of heartbreak? As stars blanketed the sky, we lay side by side, emotions raw. The trip had stripped away pretenses, exposing truths long buried. But with each mile, the real world encroached, promising conflicts that could shatter us. The sun rose over delicate arch, casting long shadows that danced like our uncertainties. Alex and I hiked early, the red sandstone warm underfoot, but the air between us crackled with unresolved tension. Last night was intense, he said, pausing to catch his breath. I agreed, my mind replaying his words of commitment, yet laced with hesitation. This trip, meant for escape, had become a crucible for our identities. We descended and hit the road toward Colorado, the Jeep climbing into the Rockies. Snow-capped peaks loomed, a reminder of how small we were against nature's indifference and society's. Alex shared more. In college, I dated girls to fit in, but it felt hollow. His confession echoed my own path, coming out amid judgment. But for him, it was uncharted territory, fraught with self-doubt. What if I'm just confused? He asked. I reassured him, drawing from my experiences, but the conversation stirred controversy. Society often dismissed bisexuality as a phase, invalidating real feelings. Stopping in Moab for lunch, we ate at a cafe overlooking the Colorado River. Over sandwiches, a news broadcast played on the TV. Debates on LGBTQ rights, with politicians railing against indoctrination. Alex's jaw tightened. That's what they'd say about us. It hit home. Back in Chicago, his conservative family attended a church that preached against same-sex relationships. Pursuing this meant potential exile, a painful choice between love and lineage. As we drove on, the altitude climbed, thinning the air and sharpening emotions. In Aspen, we splurged on a motel room for a break from camping. 2 beds, but Alex suggested pushing them together. For warmth, he joked, but his eyes said more. That night, we talked until dawn. Dreams of a future together versus the harsh reality. I spoke of pride parades I'd attended, the community that embraced me, but he feared the stigma. My job in photography, clients might bail if they knew. Economic pressures added layers to the drama, highlighting how privilege intersected with identity. Morning found us hiking in Maroon Bells, the Twin Peaks majestic yet imposing. Alex slipped on a trail and I caught him, our bodies close. Thanks, man, he murmured, lingering. The moment felt electric, but doubt resurfaced. Was this genuine, or trip-induced euphoria? Societal norms whispered warnings, creating internal conflict that threatened to unravel us. Heading east toward Denver, urban sprawl replaced wilderness, signaling the trip's end nearing. We stopped at a viewpoint, overlooking the city lights. Jamie, I think I'm falling for you, Alex admitted, voice steady. Joy flooded me, but fear followed. What about the backlash? Friends might accuse me of converting him, sparking debates on consent and influence in queer relationships. In Denver, we explored the city, visiting a gay-friendly bar where Alex relaxed for the first time. This feels normal, he said, sipping a drink. But a call from his ex, Sarah, shattered the peace. She wanted closure, unaware of the shift. He hung up conflicted, torn between past and present. The incident amplified drama. Loyalty to old ties versus new love, a choice laced with ethical quandaries. Camping outside the city, stars dimmed by light pollution, we confronted the inevitable. When we get home, what then? I asked. Alex hesitated, admitting fears of outing himself. Emotions peaked. Anger at a world that forced hiding, sorrow for potential loss. Yet hope flickered. Perhaps we could navigate this together. The drive continued, each mile building toward climax. In Kansas, flatlands stretched endlessly, mirroring the monotony of conformity we'd escape. Alex's resolve wavered. Maybe we should keep it secret, I pushed back, arguing for authenticity, igniting a heated exchange on privacy versus pride, a controversial topic dividing the LGBTQ community itself. Crossing into Missouri, the heartland's conservative vibe amplified our anxieties. Billboards preached family values, a stark reminder of the battles ahead. Alex gripped the wheel tighter, his earlier confessions now shadowed by doubt. Jamie, what if this was a mistake? The trip's messing with my head. His words stung, reopening wounds I'd thought healed. I countered calmly, sharing stories of others who'd faced similar crossroads, but inside, turmoil raged. Love shouldn't require justification, yet society demanded it. We stopped in St. Louis, the gateway arch symbolizing new beginnings, but for us, it felt like a barrier. Touring the city, we blended in as friends, but stolen glances betrayed more. At a riverside park, Alex opened up about therapy sessions he'd hidden. I've been questioning for years, but fear stopped me. Vulnerability deepened our bond, but controversy loomed. Admitting fluidity challenged binary views, inviting ridicule from both straight and queer circles. Driving toward Illinois, home turf approached, heightening stakes. In a small-town diner, overhearing homophobic slurs from locals, Alex flinched. That's our reality back home. It sparked a fierce debate. Fight openly or hide? I advocated visibility, drawing from my activism, while he feared repercussions, job loss, family rejection. The clash exposed societal fractures, where progress clashed with tradition. That night, camping near the Mississippi, thunder rolled in, mirroring our storm. Huddled in the tent, Alex broke down. I love you, but I'm scared. Tears flowed, emotions cresting in a cathartic release. I held him, promising support, but questions lingered. Could love conquer ingrained biases? As dawn broke, we pressed on, Chicago's skyline emerging like a beacon or a trap. Alex suggested a detour to my favorite spot, Lake Michigan's shores. Walking the beach, waves crashing, he proposed, let's try dating. Secretly at first. Hope surged, but I hesitated. Was secrecy betrayal to my identity? The choice weighed heavy, encapsulating the drama of navigating love in a judgmental world. Reaching the suburbs, familiarity bred contempt for the norms awaiting. Alex's phone buzzed with family invites. He declined, citing fatigue. I need time, he said. Tension built as we unpacked, the trip's magic fading against everyday pressures. Confrontation peaked at my apartment. We can't pretend nothing happened, I insisted. Alex agreed, but proposed caution. Emotions boiled. Joy, fear, anger at society's role in our pain. We embraced, a tentative step forward, but the path ahead promised more conflicts. Pulling into my Chicago driveway, the trip's end hit like a cold wave. Alex helped unload, his movements deliberate, eyes avoiding mine. So what now? I asked, voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. He sighed, leaning against the Jeep. I meant what I said, Jamie, but we have to be smart about this. Smart meant secret, a word that chafed against my hard-won pride. Yet I understood, his world wasn't ready. Over the next days, we navigated the return. Coffee meetups disguised as hangouts, texts laced with affection. But cracks appeared. At a mutual friend's barbecue, Alex flinched when someone joked about bromance. Later, he confessed, that could have been us exposed. The incident fueled my frustration. Why hide what felt so right? Society's gaze loomed, turning love into a battlefield. Family dinners amplified the drama. At his parents', I tagged along as the buddy, enduring subtle digs about marriage. Alex's discomfort was palpable. His hand brushing mine under the table, a silent rebellion. Mine was similar. My mom asked about finding a nice girl, oblivious to my truth. These moments highlighted generational divides, sparking internal debates on when to challenge norms. Work added pressure. Alex's photography gig involved conservative clients. Mine in design faced casual homophobia. A colleague's offhand comment about gaze-pushing agendas made me seethe, reminding me why visibility mattered. Alex wavered, torn between embracing us and protecting his life. Climax built during a city pride event. I invited him, hoping for solidarity. He came, masked in sunglasses, but as rainbow flags waved, something shifted. "This is beautiful," he whispered, hand in mine amid the crowd. Yet, spotting acquaintances, he pulled away, igniting an argument later. "I'm not ready for the world to know." Tears followed, emotions raw, love clashing with fear. Resolution came slowly. Through talks, therapy referrals, we forged a path. Gradual openness starting with close friends. Reactions varied, support from some, shock and debate from others, questioning Alex's sudden change. It stirred controversy. Was sexuality fluid or influenced? We weathered it, our bond strengthening amid adversity. Months later, reflecting on the trip, it stood as our turning point. A journey from friendship to love, fraught with societal hurdles. But was it worth it? The choices we made, the emotions navigated, left lasting impacts. Is it true that societal pressures can irreversibly alter the course of genuine romantic relationships?